at Attacking Third, we are doing a spotlight. Each one of us gets to pick a player, a person, someone that we are spotlighting to highlight during Black History Month. Today is my turn. Darian got us off on a really good start. I'm going to try to follow this one up, but my tribute today is to Jalen Hurts and his all-female management team. So Jalen Hurts, if you don't know, he is the Eagles quarterback, Super Bowl MVP and champion at 26 years old. He has accomplished so much, but one of the coolest things is that standing beside him is an all-female management team, 3 of whom are Black women. So he has his agent, Nicole Lynn, his management is Jella Malfris, marketing, Rachel Everett, and then 2 communications managers, Chantel Romaine and Shakima Simmons-Winter. When asked about this, Hurts has said it's something that just happened organically. He was seeking out the best, and this is just how it happened. He has a team of straight hustlers. They get things done. That's how Jalen is on and off the field, so that's what he needed in his management team. He also has talked about how he has so much confidence in these women and everyone that supports him, putting their best foot forward and doing a really good job of being intentional. He says, quote, "It's an eye that I don't have. I'm able to lean on them in certain situations. So that's something I value heavily." This is so cool. Not only that Jalen champions his support team, but he also handpicked them, and not because of who they were, but because of their resumes, their experience, and their trust, specifically his agent right here, Nicole Lynn, in a very, very male-dominated sphere of football. He hired Nicole Lynn and picked her out specifically. Back in 2019, Nicole Lynn was the very first Black woman to represent an NFL draft pick. That was defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, who was with the Jets. And for Jalen, all that mattered was her resume and what she was able to do. So there was a lot of doubt when he did get drafted, and that he chose to go with Nicole Lynn, but he said that she was on top of her stuff. She was prepared. She knew what she was talking about. She was hungry and she was determined. Now Nicole Lynn is president of Clutch Sports. Plus, Nicole and Jalen helped make history in 2023 with a record-breaking contract for Jalen Hurts with the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a 5-year contract extension worth $255 million, the largest contract by an average annual value in NFL history at the time, and it was worth every single penny. So Jalen Hurts champions these women, 3 of whom are Black, plus he is an Eagles quarterback and a Super Bowl champion with Autumn Lockwood, which is so freaking cool because Autumn Lockwood is an associate performing coach with the Philadelphia Eagles, and she's just one of 2 Black female coaches in the NFL. Back in 2023, when the Eagles were also in the Super Bowl, Autumn Lockwood was the first Black woman to coach in that Super Bowl. And now, after winning Super Bowl 59 with the Philadelphia Eagles, she is the first Black woman to win a Super Bowl, Autumn Lockwood. So that's my Black History Month spotlight.
Incredible. Woo! Look at that. Doing homework, sharing the knowledge, dropping the book report. I love it. Incredible.
I know, it does kind of feel like a book report.
It does. It does when you stand up in front of the class and you're like, so I picked.
I love my person that I picked. Oh gosh, well that was fun. Let's talk Barclays Women's Super League. We had match day occurring this past weekend, match day 14 of 22. Results all over the place. United, they pick up another win, 3-1 over Crystal Palace. Arsenal dominated with 5-0 win over Tottenham, winning that North London derby. Chelsea beat Everton 2-1. Leicester City get a shutout win 3-0 over Aston Villa. Brighton fall 3-1 to West Ham, and Manchester City pick up a 4-0 win over Liverpool. Bunny Shaw back on the pitch for City. She also gets a brace in that match. So in order to break down this Barclays Women's Super League weekend, we're going to do a little what did you learn? Go around the horn and pick up what you saw from this weekend. Dee, we're going to start with you. What caught your eye in the Barclays Women's Super League?
In the spirit of it being Black History Month and me being a Bunny Shaw stand, I wanted to highlight that Man City and the world needs more Bunny Shaw. I think the team personally missed her so much from a playing perspective. She came in, she looked like she hasn't missed a beat. Finally getting a start again after the shit housery. I wanted to use another term, but I'll just use that. That's been happening with her, and the what she's been going through. And I can't even imagine how that feels, and then having to go perform on a world stage. So then to come back and make a huge statement, scoring 2 goals. She honestly could have had 4, but after her first goal, standing in front of the fans and holding up a fist in solidarity, which means Black power. And I am so here for it. I think it was powerful. The world needs more of it. She's fighting just by doing that, and even showing up and playing in that game, let alone scoring. She is just showing what she represents, which is the fight against oppression, racism, injustice, inequality. And it was so freaking powerful. And I just want to celebrate her, highlight her, and hope that she feels supported, and that these people that were spewing hate and racist rhetoric get punished. But she's such a badass. So shout out to Bunny Shaw. That was my highlight of the weekend. And also shout out to Mary Fowler. I think that she is going to be one of the best attacking players in the world. She's so young. I think she's going to be so important for Australia in the next few years leading up into the World Cup. I'm excited to see her in She Believes, because she has contributed so much to Man City's attack. The assist she got, the connection she has with Bunny Shaw, how she's able to calm the game down. She's not too flashy. So I'm really highlighting Man City, but particularly shout out to Bunny Shaw. Side shout out to Mary Fowler.
Yeah, honestly, you got to keep the energy going off of the Jalen Hurts Black History quick segment, and then going to Bunny Shaw and Mary Fowler. Listen, we talked a bit about Bunny Shaw and everything that she's been going through in our last episode, and I had mentioned how like we needed to be careful of like turning a very poor experience that she's going through right now into one of these things where it's like here's a Black player going through another racist thing, because it's something that tragically happens in football too often, and we find ourselves at some point celebrating these players because they overcome, or they quote unquote endure, and that's a dangerous narrative to constantly, or cycle to constantly find ourselves in. But when you see Bunny Shaw go out there and do what she does over this weekend for coming off some time away, going through racial abuse, you can't help but feel moved by that. And my hope is that this is just the first real step in maybe kind of moving past things for her, because she is the one that has to unfortunately deal with those things more than anybody, more than her teammates, more than the club. She's the face of that. And when I think of my takeaway and just think of like, I'm gonna lean Chelsea where Darian went more Man City. There's a part of me where I'm looking at Chelsea's recent result against Everton, and I'm wondering, is Women's Super League slowly chipping away at Chelsea a little bit? But Chelsea somehow still picking up these wins, and they're doing it maybe in ways that frustrate people even more so about them already, where you have Lauren James coming in and doing her thing and just looking like Chelsea's going to remain unstoppable because they have these incredible pieces. But I do wonder if there's enough here at this point, week to week to week, that coaches on the other side of things can look at them and kind of maybe capitalize finally to give an upset to Chelsea. But you have to wonder, where's it going to come from? And you're looking at the match schedule, and I can't help but feel like it's probably not going to come via Leicester City, even though they've got them on the horizon. But you know who else is coming up on the horizon? Man City. So I do wonder if what we're seeing here kind of week to week, even though Chelsea's picking up these results, is there enough here that that Man City can maybe kind of capitalize on some of those opportunities that some of these other teams aren't able to do in Women's Super League and deliver an upset to Chelsea?
Ooh. Sandra, I feel like that's kind of a hot take. I haven't read the comments yet because I was just listening to you, but
we'll see.
Yeah, I think
Bunny Shaw and Mary Fowler keep it cooking like this. I mean,
and that's all. So they in Barclays Women's Super League in league play, City and Chelsea play match day 17th, March 23rd. But that's right in the mix of their Champions League play as well, where they also got drawn against City. Like Chelsea and City also got drawn. So they play each other, what was it, in the span of like 4 times in the span of like 12 days. Something insane.
It's bananas.
So that's a nice take right there, Sandra. Ooh.
Yeah, I like it. But hey, it's Chelsea's depth though. They can bring in anybody off of their bench, and it's, even if it's for 3 minutes, it's going to create some sort of chaos. That's the only thing there I'm like, yeah, people may be able to go at Chelsea, but the depth they have is
They have other players
vast.
they can bring in. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
you have to wonder like when and where they're gonna finally get worn down, if at all.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they're ridiculous.
I'm trying to also do
Um,
the reverse jinx. You know, I'm trying to be like, oh yeah,
yeah,
like
oh,
surely
like
there's
it.
surely there's worry on the wall here, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
I
Okay.
see the problem here. My takeaway from this weekend, and granted, the North London Derby isn't really much of a test. Arsenal usually have this in hand. However, their last North London Derby, they left a lot of opportunities on the table, which was just slightly irritating. What we're seeing right now, I think, under Renee is a sort of correcting of all of the things that were sort of going wrong. Now, we're also seeing world-class Alessia Russo getting starts consistently where she hadn't under Jonas, and she is absolutely in form. I think that the other takeaways, we're finally seeing more of the Caldente I expected to see when she first got signed for Arsenal. The link ups, the sort of rhythms that they now have within the team, within each other, playing into each other, especially even with Katie McCabe making her runs from that back line. And I think that they're a lot more solid than I anticipated, both defensively and in the attack. I just think we're finally seeing a more refined Arsenal. Yes, she doesn't rotate as much as, say, Jonas did, but she does where necessary. And I think that Arsenal are a lot more sound than we've seen in past seasons at this juncture in the season.
Uh, Christine, agreed. And can we give a shout out to Emily Fox?
Hey,
Banger!
that goal.
Incredible.
Holy
she
shit.
did her first regular
Incredible.
season goal, and it's a
Yeah.
freaking worldie.
I think another takeaway that I was thinking this weekend, because we talked about Jenna Nighswonger last weekend with Arsenal, was that Emily Fox is developing her game so much at Arsenal that I think it could change the way that the US attacks up the right side when she's in camp. Typically, the US goes up the left a lot. Trinity Rodman is left to go 1v1 on the right. I think if she keeps playing this way and her crossing keeps improving the way that it has, and she can cut inside. I love with Arsenal how she is not afraid to dribble inside. I mean, she's really, really crafty on the ball, but she plays a much more understated game at right back. If she builds into the attack and continues to improve on that, and just not even improve, show her stuff, because she's always been able to do that and take shots and get assists and just be a little bit more creative, I think she could redefine the way the US plays up the right, because I think she's got that position on lock. But I loved the banger this
Absolutely.
weekend. It was
If
sick.
if Emily Fox can continue to be in the positions that she was, specifically this past weekend with Arsenal, and like the way that goal came about, we haven't seen that from her. I feel like in the last several months, usually she would have been a little bit farther out, or actually like too far tucked in. She's found her positioning really well when Arsenal builds up the opposite side, how she like tucks in halfway, and she looks so comfortable shooting that. It's
So
like
the
she
crazy part
knew it
about
as
that,
soon as it came to her. She was like, I'm gonna bury this.
the crazy bit about that, Lisa, is she has the most shots of any defender in WSL this entire season.
Oh,
She's
that's a
the
fun
only one that gets up like that. So, like, whether in or out of optimal positioning, she's the only one doing it like that, which makes her unique in the league, never mind for Arsenal.
So if Emily Foxty was able to learn so much and grow her game so much at Arsenal, can we expect the same from Jenna Nighswonger?
Oh yeah, I completely think so. And mind you, Jenna Nighswonger is a natural midfielder, attacking mid. I think this suits her so well. That's what we were saying last week. Is yes, she can learn more from the defensive side. Katie McCabe, Steph Catley. I mean, that is prime competition to train with day in, day out. But she also naturally has a tendency to float up a little bit more, to go on the inside, to look to get, a little bit of a cheekier cross in by putting it on her left, but tucked into the middle a little bit more. I think she can, between her and Fox, this is such a good setup for the both of them, because I think the way that Arsenal plays when they're thriving in possession, which we're seeing that from Arsenal a bit more now, you have the ability to be dangerous and actually get lucrative shots off, set everybody else up for success, and just make you much more of a player that they cannot take off of the field, either for Arsenal or the US. So I'm here for it.
Future is bright with those two outside backs for the United States, Nighswonger on one side, Fox on the other. I'm talking like a couple years down the line. I think there's still a little competition and wiggle room there with Dunn slotting into those roles. We'll see. Okay, guys, my takeaway from this weekend, we've hit on all of yours. Mine is that you cannot count these bottom of the table teams out to not take points off of the higher up teams in the standings in the Barclays Women's Super League. I'm looking at 9th place Everton. They held Chelsea scoreless in the first 45 minutes. Now, Chelsea created a lot of chances and opportunities, but they didn't finish them. Then Everton scored and forced Chelsea to have a late game winning in stoppage time. I mean, this to me it said a lot more about Everton than it did about Chelsea in this game, because you can't count them out. There are no easy games in this Super League. Also, Crystal Palace, they're in 12th place, but they equalized in the first
Sandra.
half against Manchester United. It was equalized 1-1 until the 64th minute of this match. I mean, you can't count these teams out. And if you're at the top of the table, right, obviously you want to win. It's all about catching Chelsea now in the standings, but it also comes down to who's in third place, because Europa League is starting next year, and that's where it's going to start. And when you look at the standings, Chelsea, they sit atop the table with 40 points, United 33 points, Arsenal just 3 points behind Manchester United with 30, and then Manchester City with 28 points. A 10-point drop off then to Brighton, who sit in 5th place. But those teams at the top of the table have to be careful when they're going up against the Liverpools, the West Hams, the Evertons, because they could take points off of them real quick. You can't count it out.
I need to see it though, Lisa. My little Crystal Palace.
I know.
Come on, CP.
Sandra, I was so excited for you.
They're trying so hard, but they just can't get it.
Goals. I love that you have just taken them.
Breaking my heart.
They've
Got
taken
me
them under your
crying
wing.
all inside.
Hey, there's always a chance and an opportunity. Match day 15 coming up this weekend. Crystal Palace, they're taking on Liverpool, Sandra. It could happen.
That can be a good match.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
It slowly but surely putting small pieces together for Palace, but it's top of the table. Chelsea dominating yet again.